You're sitting alone at your kitchen table late at night. It's one of those quiet midweek evenings where everything feels still, almost too still. Your laptop is open, the glow of the screen reflecting back at you, and for the first time in months, you're doing something you've been avoiding. You're calculating your real net worth. Not the comfortable version you tell yourself in your head, not the optimistic estimate that makes you feel like you're doing okay. The real number, the one that doesn't care about your intentions, your plans, or your potential. Just the facts. What you own minus what you owe. You start typing. Savings account, retirement balance, maybe your car, although you're not even sure what it's worth anymore. Then the other side, student loans, credit cards, that lingering balance you've been slowly trying to erase for years. You pause for a moment, then hit enter, and there it is, a number. For some people, that number feels like a relief, better than expected, a quiet moment of satisfaction. For others, it hits harder, lower than you thought, lower than it should be, low enough that your first instinct is to close the laptop and distract yourself. But here's the truth most people never hear. That number isn't just a financial snapshot. It's a reflection of the life you're currently living. It determines whether an unexpected expense feels like a minor inconvenience or a full-blown crisis, whether a new opportunity feels exciting or completely out of reach, whether you have options or you're simply reacting. And what makes it even more interesting is this. People can earn the same income, live in similar cities, and still end up in completely different financial realities over time. So the question isn't just how much you make, it's what level you're actually operating on. Because every level of net worth comes with its own psychology, its own risks, and its own hidden traps. Let's walk through them. At the lowest level, you're starting below zero. This is where debt outweighs everything you own, and it's more common than most people realize. You might be early in your career. You have a job, you're earning money, but it never quite feels like enough. A large portion disappears before it even reaches your account. Taxes, insurance, deductions. What's left feels smaller than it should. Then there's the debt. Student loans, credit cards, small balances that somehow never fully go away. Even when you're making payments, the total doesn't seem to shrink the way you expected. This stage has a unique pressure to it. It's not just about being behind, it's about how the system itself makes it harder to move forward. Small mistakes become expensive. A missed payment triggers fees. A low balance triggers penalties. Short-term solutions come with long-term consequences. And sometimes the options available to you are the most costly ones. The hardest part isn't just earning more, it's stopping the damage from getting worse. Because until that happens, progress feels almost impossible. Then comes the stage where you finally cross into positive territory. It might not be much, a few thousand saved, maybe a small emergency fund, but for the first time, you're not underwater, and that feels good. You breathe a little easier. You feel like things are finally turning around. You've proven to yourself that you can save, that you can improve your situation. But this is where a subtle mistake often happens. Relief starts to feel like security. They are not the same thing. At this level, you're still vulnerable. One unexpected expense can wipe out months of effort. A repair, a medical bill, something small but urgent. And yet, because you're no longer struggling the same way, it's tempting to loosen up, to upgrade something, to reward yourself, to assume you've made it past the hardest part. This is where many people quietly slip backwards, not because they failed, but because they relaxed too early. As you move further, you start to build something more stable. Your savings grow, your accounts look healthier. You've started thinking about the future, not just the present. From the outside, it looks like progress, and it is. But internally, something important hasn't changed yet. You are the primary engine. Your money isn't doing much on its own. It's sitting, waiting, holding value, but not actively growing in a meaningful way. The effort is still coming from you, your work, your income.
This stage is often misunderstood because it feels like you're doing everything right. But there's a difference between saving money and making money work, and until that shift happens, your progress will always depend on how much you personally contribute. Eventually, you reach a level where things look solid on paper. You have assets, maybe a home, a car, retirement accounts. The numbers add up to something respectable. From the outside, it appears that you've arrived, but the reality can feel very different. Your income comes in, and most of it goes right back out. Fixed payments, housing, transportation, living expenses. Everything is accounted for. There's very little flexibility. You're stable, but tightly balanced, and this is where one of the most common traps appears, the illusion of success. Because everything looks good, it's easy to assume you're building wealth, but in many cases, what's actually happening is something else. You're maintaining a lifestyle that requires constant support, and if anything changes, the system feels it immediately, and that's a very different kind of stability than it appears to be. As your net worth grows further, something interesting begins to happen. Your money starts contributing, not dramatically at first, just small amounts, returns that don't seem very impressive, growth that feels slow compared to your expectations. This is where many people become impatient. They've worked hard to get here, and they expect the results to accelerate quickly. But what they don't realize is that this stage is critical. It's where the foundation is being built. Because once you pass a certain point, the dynamics begin to change. Growth starts compounding. Returns build on previous returns. Progress becomes less dependent on effort and more dependent on time, but only if you stay consistent. This is also where another trap appears. As income increases, so does spending. Not dramatically at first, just small upgrades, slight improvements, better options. And over time, those changes consume the very progress you were trying to build. It doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like you're just living better. But in reality, you're slowing down your future. Then you reach a level where life feels comfortable. Bills are manageable. You're not constantly checking your account. You can afford certain experiences without stress. From the outside, this looks like success, and it is. But there's a hidden tension here, because while things feel stable, they're often built on a structure that requires everything to stay exactly the same. 2 incomes, consistent earnings, no major disruptions. The moment something changes, the system becomes fragile. This is sometimes referred to as being locked in, not by force, but by design. You've built a life that works, but only under specific conditions, and walking away from it, even temporarily, becomes difficult. At higher levels, the dynamic shifts again. Your investments begin to generate meaningful returns, not just small contributions, but amounts that actually impact your lifestyle, growth that happens in the background while you focus on other things. This is where momentum becomes visible. Your efforts from previous years start to pay off in a way that feels tangible. But even here, there are challenges. A large portion of your wealth may be tied up in assets that aren't easily accessible. Value exists, but it isn't always flexible. And understanding the difference between what you own and what you can actually use becomes important, because liquidity matters more than most people expect. Eventually, you reach the milestone that many people dream about, a 7-figure net worth. And surprisingly, it doesn't always feel the way people imagine. There's no dramatic shift, no sudden sense of completion. Life continues much the same way it did before. The difference is subtle, less pressure, more options, slightly more freedom, but not total freedom. And this is where expectations often clash with reality. Because reaching this level doesn't eliminate financial thinking, it just changes its intensity. You still make decisions, you still plan, you still consider the future, just with a bit more breathing room. Beyond that point, something more significant happens. Work becomes optional, not because you don't need income at all, but because your financial position allows for flexibility. You have choices, and that's what true financial progress creates. Options. The ability to decide rather than react. At the highest levels, the system operates differently. Strategies change, decisions become more complex. The focus shifts from building wealth to maintaining and transferring it. And interestingly, one of the biggest challenges at this stage isn't financial, it's behavioral. Because wealth, without understanding, doesn't always last, and what's built over decades can be lost much faster than expected. When you step back and look at all these levels, one thing becomes clear. The gap between different outcomes isn't created in one moment. It's built slowly, through small decisions, repeated over time. A purchase here, a choice there, a habit that sticks, a habit that doesn't. None of them feel significant in isolation, but together they shape everything. There's no reward